So, hey, everybody, here's the new CEO at NPR. You ready for this, Kurt?
Yeah.
Here's the new CEO. Here's from her TED Talk.
Oh, this should be good.
The hard things, the places where we are prone to disagreement, say politics and religion. Well, as it turns out, not only does Wikipedia's model work there, it actually works really well. Because in our normal lives, these contentious conversations tend to erupt over disagreement about what the truth actually is. But the people who write these articles, they're not focused on the truth.
They're not focused on the truth. You're not supposed to be focused on the truth. What are you supposed to be focused on?
We're focused on something else.
What?
Which is the best of what we can know right now.
The truth?
And after 7 years of working with these brilliant folks, I've come to believe that they are onto something. That perhaps for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth might not be the right place to start.
Are you joking? What? I like how you said might, as if they're like, maybe that's not the best. You think it's what you should do. It's not have the truth be the... So that's like demonic, what she's saying. I don't even believe in that stuff, and that's demonic, what she said.
This is the opposite of what you would consider journalism. Journalism is about trying to find a fact and a truth. That's what it's supposed to be about. She's like, nah, that's not a good place to start. Let's see what she thinks.
In fact, our reverence for the truth might be a distraction that's getting in the way of finding common ground.
I don't want common ground with liars, you stupid fucking...
Why do you want common ground over falsehoods? We all agree that the moon's made out of cheese. Isn't that? And that's a good place to start.
Is this not Hitler talk?
This is Hitler talk.
Unified Volk, and it don't matter what's true. You're going to tell them, and that's what's important is that's fascism. Wow, I had no idea that she literally said that out loud. And said it in a TED Talk.
In a TED Talk.
And people sat there and watched it.
And now she's the head of NPR.
That's not even a TEDx quality thing to say.
This is crazy, and why the country's in the state that it's in. This is part of the reason. This isn't the whole reason. It's part of it. Because our news outlets are populated with people like this.
So,
who don't think that truth is a good place to try to meet people. You shouldn't try to convince people of the truth.
No, she believes in it for her. So I don't even think she's CIA. I think she's like something above that. She's from, we got Council on Foreign Relations.
She came from the Council on Foreign Relations?
The Truman National Security Project.
Again,
Open World Economic Forum. She's a goddamn lizard person is what she is.
She's a lizard person.
Oh, U.S. State Department. Atlantic Council. Democracy and Tech Initiative.
There couldn't be...
What a piece of shit.
It's like, if again, all those... It's like, it's worse... It's worse...
I wish it was CIA. I wish it was...
That's what I was just about to say.
Genuinely...
If it was CIA, it would be better.
I don't think they could be this evil.
So she came from the Atlantic Council, the Council on Foreign Relations, the WEF, the WEF. Yeah,
so she's been,
and now she's the head of NPR. So what does that tell you about the people who really control NPR? They wanted someone like her in charge. Yeah. They got her, and the truth doesn't matter. This is so Orwellian. I can't even. I'm having a hard time putting it into words how crazy and Orwellian this is.
I don't want to throw around words like Illuminati.
This is supposed to be. You're right.
She's in every single thing that's connected to every disgusting thing.
Yes.
She should have a goat head and tits and a dick like a Baphomet.
And so now you know why everybody who listens to NPR doesn't know anything. They don't know anything about the Ukraine war. They don't know anything about Syria. They don't know anything about Libya. They don't know anything about COVID. They don't know anything about Russiagate. They don't know anything about anything.
Oh, she's from a small town in Connecticut, Wilton, Connecticut.
Here we go.
And getting things done.
Getting what done?
That is not to say that the truth doesn't exist.
For you, it does.
Nor is it to say that the truth isn't important. Clearly, the search for the truth has led us to do great things, to learn great things.
But that's all yesterday.
But not for you.
Wait a minute. But.
Yeah.
Did you hear there's a but?
Yeah, you're not an expert. Is that going to be it?
Wait a minute. I want to really listen to this. This may be the most powerful butt I've ever heard in my life. This is bigger than Bertha Butt, one of the Butt sisters.
Things, to learn great things. But I think if I were to really ask you to think about this, one of the things that we could all acknowledge is that part of the reason we have such glorious chronicles to the human experience in all forms of culture is because we acknowledge there are many different truths.
What?
And so in the spirit of that...
No, we don't.
No, there aren't many different truths.
Many different... You mean, what do you mean, like religions?
Again, right. If you're writing a book about religions, that would be okay.
Well, she has a degree in Islamic studies also.
You're trying to do... You're doing journalism.
So this is a religion for me now. You're NPR.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I'm certain that the truth exists for you and probably for the person sitting next to you. But this may not be the same truth. This is because the truth of the matter...
Because sometimes I think Iraq does have weapons of mass destruction. That's my truth. My person sitting next to me might say that they don't have weapons of mass destruction. And that's a bad place to try to meet people over truth.
Weren't they bashing Kellyanne Conway for alternative facts or something? So she's saying that right now.
She's saying that right. She's embracing it fully.
Well,
that alternative facts are valid. And who are you? You're supposed to be a new... Okay,
I'm not a believer in that, but that's like...
So
that's what that is, being
So if you're a person who donates to NPR, you are a sucker. You are the most propagandized people in the world, and you don't know it.
She's only 40 years old. She must be from another planet. Honest to God, that's the craziest thing I'm seeing openly said at a TED Talk, and that's saying a lot, because Ted's had some real doozies.
Yeah, it's had some doozies. Here we go.
Is very often, for many people... what happens when we merge facts about the world with our beliefs about the world. So we all have different truths. They're based on things like where we come from, how we were raised, and how other people perceive us.
So here's what Vivek, which rhymes with stomachache, he says, NPR's new CEO, our reverence for the truth might be a distraction, getting in the way of finding common ground and getting things done.
That's not good, that statement.
That's a bad statement. This gets to the heart of the culture divide in the modern West. Whether you believe truth is a priority or it's a hindrance.
This is like the worst case scenario from religious kooks happening in front of my goddamn face. There's going to be you don't have to tell the truth. Nothing means anything.
Nothing means anything.
We all live in a separate goddamn dimension.
Everybody can decide what truth is. Maybe you think that a woman is a woman. Maybe you think you know what a woman is, but you don't.
You're not an expert.
Maybe you think that the Ukraine war started 5 minutes ago instead of in 2014 when the CIA overthrew their democratically elected government so we could have this war. Maybe you don't. That doesn't matter. Maybe you think Russia overthrew the 2016 election, which they didn't. Maybe you do.
Yeah, but then
none of that matters. Maybe you think COVID started in a lab that was funded by the military, by the Pentagon and Fauci and the or maybe you don't. Maybe you think it came from a pangolin. It doesn't matter. Maybe you think lockdowns are good and that they help stop the spread of or maybe you think that they're horrible and they crushed 41% of black businesses and they created psychological harm with 1 in 4 college students reporting trying to commit suicide or self-harm. But who knows? Maybe you think closing down schools are good and that they help people. Maybe you think it doesn't matter.
But wait, that's a lie, because if you don't think the truth that it does help people, you're getting suppressed. So it's not like all the truth.
That's correct.
They're not even going to live up to the bullshit thing she just said.
That's right.
It's still going to be a real truth, just not yours.
That's right. So she's not going to embrace the truth about COVID. She's not going to embrace the truth about vaccines. She's not going to embrace the truth about Ukraine. That's all bad speak. Here's another video of her. You ready? This is more recent. This is from the Atlantic Council. Here we go. Ready? Let's listen to this.
The lizard people.
We took a very active approach to disinformation and misinformation coming into not just the last election, but also looking at how we supported our editing community in an unprecedented moment where we were not only dealing with the global pandemic, we were dealing with a novel virus, which by definition means we knew nothing about it in real time.
But you still fucked around with it in the lab, though.
It turns out there was a lot of information to know about it. Turns out they've been writing papers about coronaviruses for a long time. Turns out that they've been funding the science that led to it for a long time. Turns out they did an Event 201, which prepared us for this.
Hey, what if my truth is that they were planning to soft kill a bunch of fat people in time for AI to get rid of some jobs? What if that's my truth?
Here we go. Here she is,
bitch.
Here she is. She's trying to manage misinformation. The misinformation again comes direct. The greatest.
There's no misinformation. She said it, Ted. There's no such thing as that.
There's no such thing.
There's my beliefs and truth and your beliefs and truth.
And we're trying to figure it out as the pandemic went along. And so we really set up in response to both the pandemic, but also in response to the upcoming U.S. election, and as a model for future elections outside of the U.S., including a number that are happening this year. We just obviously went through yet another Israeli election. The model was around how do we create sort of a clearinghouse of information that brings the institution of the Wikimedia Foundation with the editing community in order.
She's talking about Wikimedia.
What the hell is Wikimedia?
Look up Wikimedia. That's where she comes from, Wikimedia. Now, I'm going to guarantee you, before we even look it up, that Wikimedia is funded by the Atlantic Council, the WEF, the Annenberg Foundation, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos. I'm sure it's got all the bad funding. Or what is Wikimedia? Tell, are you looking it up, Kurt?
It says it's sustained by donations.
Oh, really?
Millions of remarkable individuals and institutions ensure that we have the necessary resources to continue our global mission. All right. Still looking.
So, by the way, I don't know what I know Wikipedia. The important parts of Wikipedia are run by the intelligence community, the CIA, the FBI, and the MI6.
I like it to be more intelligence related, so that's why you go to Wikimedia.
Okay, this is what I have. I have Craig Newmark was one of the initial donors, giving $1 million. Peter Baldwin and his wife.
Who's Craig
Elizabeth,
Newmark?
I don't know. $5 million, and then
who's Craig Newmark? Is an American internet entrepreneur and philanthropist, best known as the founder of the classified website Craigslist. That's who he is.
Amazon and Facebook gave $1 million each, and George Soros.
Of course, George Soros.
$2 million.
Jeff Bezos. Of course, that's where these people come from.
Jimmy Wales and Larry saying from Wikipedia.
Of course. Okay, so let's go. Here we go.
To be able to identify threats early on through conversations with government, of course, as well as other platform operators.
So she's setting up a template on how to identify threats, I guess misinformation threats. And how does she do that? With working with government. You know where the misinformation comes from, Bimbo? It comes from the government.
There is no misinformation.
That's where the misinformation comes from. That's where they lie. If the government is talking, they're lying. And that's it. And so she's working with them to try to figure out where the lies are coming from. The lies are coming from inside the house.
Understand sort of what the landscape looks like.
Wow. Here's what exclusive Catherine Maher says: the number one challenge in her fight against disinformation is the First Amendment in the United States, which makes it a little bit tricky to censor bad information and the influence peddlers who spread it. Boy, I wish I had that video.
Okay, I'm going to say another one of my truths after her liberating TED Talk. My truth is that is a lizard with human skin stretched over it.
Mm.
So I wish I had the video where she says this, but apparently...
that's his truth. I don't know what your truth is. I'm not an expert in your truth.
She says the number one challenge in her fight against disinformation is the First Amendment in the United States.
Oh man, yeah. Back on planet Zorbulon, we don't have to deal with we don't have to deal with that. We're all telepathic, so you can't hide nothing from the Queen Mother lizard.
There's that old saying that I forget who said it. Maybe it was Thomas Paine. Maybe it was somebody else who said the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. And these are people who want to take your liberty away. And so you have to fight these people, and they present themselves as the good people. Of course, they're the good people. They're the people fighting disinformation. And how do we do that? We have to take away the First Amendment. We have to take away your liberty. We have to take away your freedom of speech. Because speech is bad. And we're going to give you the good speech. You know who says that? Every dictator in the world, from Hitler to Pol Pot to Stalin to Xi Jinping, everybody, they all say the same thing. We're censoring just the bad stuff, not the good stuff.
To us, every time we've ever censored, you said it a while ago. When did they ever censor? Like, oh, thank God they censored that. I can't think of one instance.
Well, RFK had a great saying when he said, "Can you remember a time in history when the censors turned out to be the good guys?" And that, what I've said is, hey, have you ever thought of a time when you were like, oh, thank God they censored, or else that would have been a problem? Okay.
I don't think she's so. If 40. I think she's 8,000 years old.
If you're donating to NPR, you're a sucker, and you are a willing participant in your own propaganda. Your own self being propagandized. You're a willing participant in you being a dipshit. You're paying to be misinformed. You're paying to be propagandized in a certain way.
It's just a lifestyle, Jimmy, for me.
It is.
I just want the tote bag.
It is.
It's just an attractive tote bag to me.
Okay.
The number one challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States is a fairly robust protection of rights. And that is a protection of rights both for platforms, which I actually think is very important, that platforms have those rights to be able to regulate what kind of content they want on their.
Are you kidding me?
So she
not for you.
She doesn't want the rights for your freedom of speech.
For platforms.
She wants the right for corporations to censor you and take away your freedom of speech. She says I'll play it again. This is amazing. This is amazing.
The number one challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States. The
number one challenge. Does that not sound like a crazy dictator? Does that not sound like Kim Jong-un or something like that? That's what that sounds like to me.
He's better than her. He's better than her because that guy will tell you up front, like, no, you just follow the great leader. Like it's actually less insulting what North Korean propaganda than this shit. This is a bigger insult to me.
We got a big problem here, and that's that people, we have a constitution and the freedom of speech, and people like me are trying to find ways to subvert it and take away your freedom of speech. But whose rights does she wants to protect? She wants to protect the rights of billionaires to censor you on social media, which the social media is the new town square.
But not if they don't want to censor you, then they have to be stopped. If the billionaire wants to let you talk a little bit, that's unacceptable.
That's unacceptable.
So that's probably the tricky part.
Yeah.
I, in theory, support it for corporations, not Elon Musk.
Not Elon Musk, though.
So we got to, of course, figure that out.
So she supports Elon Musk's right to censor, just his right to not censor.
Right. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
That's why it's been really, it's too robust.
Let's listen to the rest of this. It's hard to get through, isn't it? It's only like 5 seconds of fucking tape, but I can't get through it. It's so crazy.
Is a fairly robust protection of rights. And that is a protection of rights both for platforms, which I actually think is very important, that platforms have those rights to be able to regulate what kind of content they want on their sites.
Platforms have rights.
It also means that it is a little bit tricky to really address some of the real challenges of where does bad information come from and sort of the influence peddlers who have made a real market economy around it. The number one challenge here that we see
piece of shit too. We did another story. The one with the glasses.
Who is that? That Molly Jong Fast? That's not her, is it?
No. Wait, no. Maybe.
They shop at the same glasses store. I'll tell you that. Yeah. So let me play the end part of this.
It also means that it is a little bit tricky to really address some of the real challenges of where does bad information come from and sort of the influence peddlers who have made a real market economy around it.
The influence peddlers who have made a market around misinformation is called the government. It's called the corporate media. Again, this is all about, she doesn't represent people. She represents the international billionaire class, and we got to get control of the narrative. And how do you do that? You got to get rid of the First Amendment somehow. You have to find a way to get rid of it. And the way she's doing it is she's saying that I support the rights of platforms to censor.
The rights of platforms.
The rights of platforms.
I think that is Erica Jong Fast, who's related to Peter.
Molly Jong. That's yeah. Hey, get this. So we all know that the mainstream news media is not reliable. How can you trust them when they've never told you the truth about Russiagate, Ukraine, COVID, lockdowns, anything? that's where our sponsor, we have a new sponsor, Ground News, comes in handy. Ground News is an app and a website. And what they do is they gather related articles from around the world in one place so you can compare coverage. So it's not, they don't generate the news, they compile the news, and then they give you the visual breakdown of the news outlets and tell you if the source has a political bias, and if it does, what's the political bias, and how reliable that the reporting is, and who owns them. So it's super helpful and transparent. Check this out. So like if you search Russia-Ukraine, search Russia-Ukraine war, and you'll see how it's covered. Here we see 111 total news sources. 18 of them are left-leaning, 9 are right-leaning, and 27 of them are centrist. The bias distribution is 50% center, and it even shows their logos along with their factuality and ownership. So this is a pretty helpful, dare I say, use an old-timey term, this is a neat website. So this is a good way to do your own research. So you get there, you see that they help you by seeing what the bias is, by who owns these news outlets, but they compiles all different kinds of sources around one news story. So it gets you access to independent and international perspectives, not just nationalist sources with the same political agenda. It helps you find the discrepancies in how certain topics are covered and shows you how corporate agendas can influence the news you read. Sounds a lot like this show. Sounds like this website does what this show does. Sounds nice. So if you want to see it for yourself, go to ground.news/JD. Ground.news/JD. Use the link below, and we're going to get you 40% off unlimited access. Go to ground.news/JD, and we're going to get you 40% off unlimited access. Think critically about the news you consume. Come see us on tour. We're going to be in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, Cortland, New York, Oakmont, Pennsylvania, El Paso, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Vancouver, British Columbia. First show sold out. Denver, Colorado, Ashland, Virginia, Athens, Georgia, and Minneapolis. We're coming back to Minneapolis. If you couldn't get tickets last time, there'll be some available this time. We're doing 2 shows. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.